Welcome to Dark Love Psychology. Today we're breaking down one of the most powerful emotional strategies in dating, the push-pull game. You've seen it, you've felt it, and maybe you've even played it. But few people understand the psychology behind why push-pull works, and why it can be so addictive. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how it works, why it works, and how to spot it when it's being used on you. Chapter 1. What is push-pull? Push-pull is a psychological tactic where someone gives you attention and warmth, pull, and then suddenly withdraws, becomes distant, or creates uncertainty, push. This creates an emotional roller coaster that makes your brain crave more contact, because unpredictability is addictive. Example: a woman texts you all evening, laughing, flirting, sending cute emojis. Then the next day, she replies with one-word messages, or disappears completely. You start thinking, what happened? Did I do something wrong? This emotional imbalance is push-pull in action. Chapter 2. Why push-pull works. To understand why the push-pull dynamic is so potent, we need to look beneath the surface at the powerful psychological mechanisms it triggers. This isn't about simple mind games. It's about tapping into core aspects of human brain chemistry and cognitive biases. When you grasp these principles, you'll see this dynamic playing out everywhere. Let's break down the three primary triggers. The first is intermittent reinforcement. This is the same powerful reward system that makes slot machines so addictive. If you pulled the lever and won every time, you'd quickly get bored. If you never won, you'd walk away. But when the reward, the jackpot, is unpredictable, your brain becomes hooked. It keeps pulling the lever, chasing the anticipation of the next potential win. In dating, attention is the jackpot. When someone gives you intense focus and then withdraws it without a clear pattern, your brain doesn't shut down. It ramps up. It becomes fixated on figuring out how to get the next reward of their attention, creating a compelling, almost addictive loop. The second trigger is the cycle of dopamine spikes. Dopamine is often called the feel-good neurotransmitter, but it's more accurately the molecule of motivation and craving. When you receive a positive, engaging text or have a wonderful connected conversation, your brain releases a surge of dopamine. This feels great. It's the pull. You feel seen, desired, and validated. However, when that person suddenly becomes distant, cancels plans, or leaves you on red, that dopamine supply is abruptly cut off. This creates a neurochemical deficit, a literal craving. Your brain doesn't just feel disappointed. It feels a sense of withdrawal. It then motivates you to take action to restore that dopamine level, compelling you to text them, seek their validation, and get that high back. This up and down cycle creates a powerful emotional roller coaster that can easily be mistaken for deep connection or intense chemistry. Finally, push-pull masterfully exploits our inherent uncertainty bias. As humans, our brains are wired to conserve energy. We tend to pay less attention to outcomes that are certain. If you know you have $1 million in the bank, you don't think about it constantly. If you know you have zero, you accept it and plan accordingly. But if you have a lottery ticket with a 50% chance of winning $1 million, your brain will dedicate an enormous amount of cognitive resources to that uncertain outcome. It becomes a puzzle that demands to be solved. When someone sends mixed signals, warm one day, cold the next, they are creating a social puzzle. Your brain instinctively switches into problem-solving mode. You start replaying conversations, analyzing texts, and trying to decipher their true feelings. This intense focus isn't necessarily a sign of love. It's a sign that your brain is captivated by the mystery. Let's put this into a simple, everyday context. Someone who is always nice and available is predictable. You appreciate them, but your brain doesn't need to spend much energy on them. Someone who is always cold and distant is also predictable. You quickly learn to keep your distance. But the person who alternates between these two states, they become neurologically stimulating. Their unpredictability hijacks your attention. You're not just interacting with a person, you're engaging with a constant source of intermittent rewards, dopamine fluctuations, and captivating uncertainty. This is the fundamental engine that makes push-pull work. Chapter 3. Types of push-pull behavior. To navigate the complexities of modern dating, it's crucial to recognize how push-pull dynamics manifest. This behavior isn't a single action, but a pattern of contradictory signals that can leave you feeling confused and uncertain. Understanding these patterns is the first step toward clarity. Let's explore the 4 most common types you're likely to encounter. First, we have type 1, the emotional warm-cold. This is perhaps the most classic form of push-pull. One day, she might share her deepest thoughts, making you feel uniquely connected. The next, she could be distant, dismissive, or even critical. She compliments you one day, making you feel valued, then criticizes you the next, making you question your worth. She opens up emotionally, then becomes guarded.
Last night she called me her favorite person. Today she says she wants to be alone.
This emotional whiplash is designed, consciously or not, to keep you off balance. You find yourself constantly trying to win back the warm version of her, investing more and more emotional energy into deciphering her moods. It creates a cycle where you're always chasing that initial feeling of closeness, which she offers just enough to keep you engaged. Next is type 2, the availability shift. This type plays with your time and expectations. In the beginning, she might be incredibly available, clearing her schedule to see you and responding to texts almost instantly. She makes time for you, then suddenly becomes busy. Plans become vague, and her calendar fills up with mysterious, unmovable commitments.
A woman says, "I want to see you soon." But after you suggest a day, she replies, "Maybe, I'll let you know."
This isn't about genuine busyness. It's about controlling the dynamic. By making her time a scarce resource, she increases her perceived value. You might find yourself competing for a slot in her schedule, which elevates her importance in your mind. The uncertainty of when you'll see her next can create a sense of anxiety and a stronger desire to lock down a plan, putting you in the pursuer role. Type 3 is the affection switch. This is a reactive form of push-pull that directly mirrors your level of investment. It operates like a seesaw of interest. She's affectionate when you pull back, but distant when you move closer. This pattern trains you to give her space and to avoid showing too much interest, as it seems to be the only way to receive her affection. The logic is simple and powerful. You stop texting. She messages immediately, perhaps with a "thinking of you" or "hey stranger." You text her enthusiastically. She becomes cold, giving one-word answers or leaving you on read. This conditions you to believe that your direct interest is the problem, forcing you to play a game of calculated indifference to get the connection you want. Finally, there's type 4, jealousy induction. This is a more overt and often manipulative tactic. It involves her deliberately mentioning other men or potential romantic interests to provoke a reaction from you. It's a way of manufacturing competition to gauge your interest level or to make you feel a sense of urgency to claim her.
You're fun to talk to. By the way, this guy at work asked me out.
This might be framed casually, as if it's just a piece of her day, but its purpose is to trigger your insecurity. She might talk about an ex who's suddenly back in touch, or a guy at the gym who complimented her. The goal is to make you feel like you could lose her if you don't step up your efforts. It's a test of your confidence and a direct attempt to pull you in closer through fear of loss. Each of these types can be subtle, but their cumulative effect is what creates the powerful and often confusing push-pull dynamic. Chapter 4. The psychology behind push-pull. Push-pull targets 3 areas of human psychology. 1. Attachment systems. People with anxious or insecure attachment styles respond very strongly to push-pull. The distance creates panic, the attention creates relief. 2. Scarcity principle. When attention is limited or inconsistent, you value it more. 3. Ego involvement. Push-pull makes you feel like you need to win them back, which activates competitiveness.
She liked me yesterday. I must have done something wrong today. I need to fix this.
Chapter 5. How to respond to push-pull. Recognizing the push-pull dynamic is the first crucial step, but how you respond is what truly changes the game. Your response is your power. It's the moment you stop being a passenger in a chaotic emotional ride and take the wheel. The key is to shift from a reactive stance, where you're constantly trying to adapt to their unpredictable behavior, to a proactive one, where your actions are guided by your own standards for healthy communication. So, what should you do when you notice someone using this tactic? Let's break down a 3-part strategy. First, and perhaps most difficult, don't chase the pull moments. When the person who has been distant suddenly becomes warm and attentive, it feels like a rush of relief. The natural instinct is to lean in hard, to soak up the affection, and to reward their return with a flood of your own interest. But this is a trap. By rewarding their sudden warmth with overenthusiasm, you are validating their strategy. You're non-verbally telling them, yes, this works. Disappear for a while, then give me a scrap of attention, and I will come running. This is how the pattern gets locked in. Instead, when she gets warm, don't instantly reward it with over-interest. Acknowledge it, be pleasant, but maintain your composure. This subtly communicates that your emotional well-being isn't hanging on their every word, and it begins to break her pattern. Second, don't react emotionally to the push. This is the other side of the same coin. The push, the sudden coldness, the canceled plans, the short replies, is designed specifically to provoke an emotional reaction. It's a test to see if they can destabilize you. Getting anxious, angry, or sad and showing it through panicked texts or passive-aggressive comments is the desired outcome. It proves to them that they have control over your emotional state. The antidote is emotional regulation. When you feel that push, take a step back. Recognize it not as a reflection of your worth, but as a calculated move in a game you no longer wish to play. If you stay calm and steady, the tactic loses its power. Your tranquility becomes a shield that their manipulation can't penetrate. Third, match, don't exceed. This is about mirroring their level of investment. It's a simple but powerful principle. If she pulls back and gives you one-word answers, you don't respond with paragraphs. You pull back too. Give her the space she seems to be asking for. If she engages with a thoughtful question, you engage back thoughtfully, but you don't over-invest by immediately planning your future together. This isn't about playing games, it's about protecting your energy and demonstrating self-respect. You are showing that the connection is a two-way street, and you're only willing to walk as far as the other person is. This measured approach reestablishes equilibrium and forces the dynamic to become more honest. Finally, if the pattern continues, the most powerful response is direct communication. This moves beyond strategy and into setting clear, healthy boundaries. You can express your feelings without accusation, using I statements. For example,
I enjoy talking to you, but I'm not into hot and cold behavior. I'm looking for more consistency.
this isn't an ultimatum, but a statement of your needs. It puts the choice back on them. They can either attempt to meet your standard for healthy communication, or you can choose to invest your energy elsewhere. Chapter 6. When it becomes toxic. Push-pull becomes unhealthy when it's used intentionally to manipulate. It creates anxiety instead of attraction. It damages your self-esteem. It makes you overinvest to earn back affection. This is no longer flirting, it's control.
You're amazing. Actually, I'm not sure if you're good enough for me. This isn't romance, it's psychological conditioning.
Push-pull is powerful because it plays with the emotions we're most vulnerable to: attraction, validation, and uncertainty. You don't have to fall for these patterns. Once you see the game, you can choose not to play. Stay grounded, stay self-respecting, and never let unpredictability control your mind. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who might need help. Thanks for watching until the end. See you in the next video.